People travel from all over the world to visit the Golden Gate Bridge. It is a very popular, beautiful tourist destination, and yet for some, it represents heartbreaking loss. Heather and her daughter Mariah, they shared their experience, which was brought out in the Guardian newspaper, and a part of it reads, they stopped halfway across the Golden Gate Bridge, walked towards one of the light poles that lined the roadway. Heather placed her hands on the cold steel and closed her eyes. Her son, Alexander, jumped from there 18 years ago. Heather and Mariah held hands and cried. For families like them, this landmark has become their family member's gravesite. There are different preventative measures in place to assist with suicide prevention at the Golden Gate Bridge, and we will focus on one of them. The Bible-based organization jw.org should continue to have carts with the message of hope at the Golden Gate Bridge because it is an added preventative measure that has saved lives. Lives are at stake. Without preventative measures in place, we could lose more people to suicide at the bridge. But why is this important? Well, it's important because mental and emotional breakdowns can happen to any one of us or someone that we care about. We would want someone to step in and assist them in such a moment. First, we will consider the details in regard to suicide at the Golden Gate Bridge. Next, we will explore the causes of suicide. And finally, we will consider why jw.org is an effective preventative measure at the bridge. The Golden Gate Bridge has been known as one of the deadliest suicide locations in the world, with at least 1,700 deaths on record since the bridge opened in 1937. Who is being harmed? Well, statistics brought out on the Bridge Rail Foundation, which is a foundation formed by survivors and grieving families. It brought out that nearly half of the suicides are between the ages of 25 and 44 years old. And men are 3 times as likely to take their lives at the bridge than women. Isn't that alarming? Like minds want to know, well, what is the cause? There is a deep systemic flaw when it comes to suicide prevention. This flaw is the stigma associated with suicide. Suicide prevention is often not addressed adequately because of the stigma, which leads to a lack of awareness that suicide is a major public health problem. Another cause is brought out in the National Library of Medicine, which is a website ran by the US government. And it mentioned that there was a failed attempt at providing comprehensive community-based care and a lack of adequate community services. And that was stated in the 1960s. So let's fast forward to 2022, and the United States introduced a 3-digit dialing code to reach a national suicide prevention lifeline. That's a 62-year gap. So as mentioned before, suicide is a public health problem. So how can the public assist in the solution? Well, there are different suicide preventative measures taking place at the Golden Gate Bridge. We will focus in on the efforts of the Bible-based organization jw.org. Currently, they have 112 volunteers stationed throughout the week at 4 Bible-based literature carts. 2 of the carts feature the article, Why Go On? 3 Reasons to Keep Living. These volunteers are available Monday through Sunday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. every day of the year. With the aid of that Bible-based magazine, they are able to bring awareness to suicide prevention and offer practical steps to assist. Let's take a look. at an image of them doing so. So this is an example of two of the cards at the Golden Gate Bridge that featured that magazine that we just discussed. So the solution is to support the efforts of JW.org by being an advocate of them remaining at the location. Being an advocate is important because there has been success. One example, one afternoon, an officer approached a cart and said, "Well, your magazine worked." The police had just helped a young woman who was thinking of jumping from the bridge. When they reached her, she had the magazine in her hand and had decided not to jump. Wouldn't you agree? If just one life was saved, this public witnessing arrangement would be successful? Let's review the main points. First, we looked at the details in regard to suicides at the bridge. Then we explored some causes of suicide. And finally, we saw why JW.org is an effective preventative measure at the Golden Gate Bridge. When we think back to Heather and Mariah and the heartbreaking loss of their son and brother to suicide at the Golden Gate Bridge, it is a harsh reminder that their story could be ours. It could be our child, our sibling, spouse, friend. Suicide is a public health problem that we all can advocate and support.